Army Chief General M.M. Narvane to visit Ladakh today to review the situation at LAC. Army Commanders Conference in progress to review the operational situation on both the northern and western fronts. Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra begins at Puri with restrictions as per Supreme Court's guidelines. Rath Yatra begins at Jagannath Temple in Ahmedabad. Also, after Gujarat High Court allows conducting Rath Yatra with restrictions, President, Vice President, Prime Minister and other leaders extend greetings on the occasion. Defence Minister arrives at Moscow for a 3-day visit to Russia. India looks forward to deepening defence and strategic partnership with Russia as Raksha Mantri to hold bilateral meeting with Russian counterpart today. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to take part in trilateral virtual meeting with Russia and China today. The meeting will focus on joint efforts to counter crisis in global policy and the economy caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Nation remembers founder of Bharatiya Jana Sangh, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee on his Balidan Divas. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and BJP President JP Nadda pay tributes to the leader. India's recovery rate from COVID-19 improves to 56.37% with more than 2.48 lakh people cured. Global cases of COVID-19 nears 91 lakhs. Death toll in hardest hit United States crosses 1.2 lakh. And extending the visa ban, US President Donald Trump temporarily suspends the entry of certain foreign workers into the United States. White House says the move will help the coronavirus-battered economy. Hello, you're watching DD News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. Our top story first. Army Chief General M.M. Narvane is visiting Ladakh today. During his 2-day visit, the Army Chief will review the ground situation, discuss the ongoing standoff with ground commanders, visit forward locations and interact with troops on the ground. Meanwhile, standoff continues between India and China with regard to the border issue. Corps commanders of both the countries yesterday met in Chushul, Moldo on Monday. The meeting will continue today as well to review the operational situation on both the northern and the western fronts. And Amritpal Singh, our correspondent, is joining us from Leh. Amrit, we tell our viewers that Army Chief General M.M. Narvane is to visit Ladakh today. Get us more details on that.
Well, General Narvane arrives here this evening. He will visit the forward bases and take a review of the preparedness of the operational preparedness of our armed forces. As you know, it was decided in the defense ministers meeting with the 3 chiefs and the CDS before he left for Moscow that we need to secure our defenses further, and if there is any sort of misadventurism on part of China, the Indian forces have been given a free hand to give a befitting reply to it. The local commanders can take their own decisions, and if the situation so warrants, can engage in firing, which will be the new rules of engagement. So today, when the Army Chief comes and for himself reviews the preparedness of the Indian Army along the line of actual control, he would also be interacting with the local commanders on the ground. Now that gives a lot of morale boosting when the Army army chief himself comes and interacts and tells them straight that your prime purpose is to protect the territorial integrity of the nation, of the country, and also the lives of your troops. So you can take your own decisions. You do not need to constantly keep watching your backs or permissions from higher commanders. So that helps in morale boosting. Also, we are hearing that the army chief will be in the Kashmir Valley tomorrow, where he will look at reviewing the operational preparedness there. The army commanders conference, which is ongoing, it was decided that the western and the eastern fronts both, the strict vigil needs to be maintained there, and our defenses are being reinforced on both fronts. So I think the army chief's visit would be to see that take place in effect on the ground. Preeti?
All right, Amrit, we tell our viewers that standoff is still continuing. Let us know more about the ground situation. Added to that, how do you read the situation further unfold? Because corps commanders of both the countries yesterday met and the talks are still continuing.
That's right. The corps commanders met, and it was clearly conveyed to the PLA. It was a very long meeting, which lasted more than 10 hours, and it was very clearly conveyed by General Harvinder Singh to General Liu Lin, who is the commander of the South Xinjiang military district, that the disengagement process, which was decided on June 6th, needs to be carried forward, but the PLA needs to give assurances to the Indian Army, as well as a clear roadmap of how this disengagement will take place, and also assurances that incidents of like the one that occurred on the intervening night of 14th and 15th do not take place again. And also it has been conveyed very clearly to the Chinese side that the Indian Army will look at now new rules of engagement. The troops shall carry assault weapons with them, which they were earlier carrying, but they used to detach their magazines and the 1996 agreement says that firing shall not take place for 2 kilometers on either side of the line of actual control. But it has been conveyed to the Chinese that if the situation so warrants, or if there is any misadventurism on part of the PLA at any level, whether at the battalion level or at company level, the Indian forces reserve the right to open fire. So the changed dynamic has been very, very clearly conveyed to the Chinese, and the Chinese have been asked for a roadmap to see that this disengagement process is adhered to, and timelines are adhered to in the disengagement process. Preeti?
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs from Leh. So Army Chief General M.M. Narawane is expected to reach Ladakh today evening. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, let's get to other important news. The world-famous Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra began this morning in Puri amidst restrictions. The Odisha government on Monday imposed a curfew-like shutdown in Puri district ahead of the historic Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra and appealed to citizens to refrain from stepping out of their homes when the chariots roll out on the Grand Road in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. The curfew-like shutdown has been put in place across the district from 9 p.m. of Monday till 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Meanwhile, all the entry points to Puri have been sealed and no vehicle other than those for the purpose of the Rath Yatra preparation will be allowed into the temple town.
We have done a very good arrangement for Rath Yatra. This is a balance between allowing a full Rath Yatra and not allowing Rath Yatra at all. So we found a midway, Honorable Court found a midway that the Rath Yatra will be conducted but without participation of Bhaktas. Bhakta participate but in a virtual way from a remote location. We welcome all of you to participate in the Rath Yatra through the TV in your drawing room, and that is the best solution in the present circumstances.
Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra also began at Jagannath Temple in Ahmedabad with restrictions in a late-night order. The Gujarat High Court allowed the annual Rath Yatra as proposed by the state government and temple authorities. Limited devotees are allowed to pull the chariot. As per the High Court's order, there will be a total Janta curfew across the city during Rath Yatra. Extending greetings and good wishes on the auspicious occasion of Rath Yatra, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said, and I quote him, "May the pious and noble ideas and ideals associated with the Rath Yatra enrich our lives with peace and harmony." Prime Minister also greeted people on the commencement of Puri Rath Yatra. In his message, the Prime Minister expressed hope that the occasion will bring happiness, prosperity and also good luck and health to the lives of the people of the country. And renowned sand artist also showed his creativity on sand, but on your screens we have the tweet by Prime Minister wherein he is wishing the countrymen health, happiness, good luck and prosperity on the commencement of Puri Rath Yatra today. And renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik also greeted people on the auspicious occasion in his unique style. And beautiful sand sculptures were created by Sudarshan Patnaik. And Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh is on a 3-day visit to Russia. Raksha Mantri will today hold bilateral talks with his Russian counterpart in Moscow. Both the leaders will look forward to deepen the defense and strategic partnership. India-Russia defense and strategic partnership will figure prominently during the talks. Raksha Mantri will attend Victory Parade tomorrow to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the victory in the Second World War. The parade is organized to honor heroism and sacrifices made by the Russian and other friendly people. A tri-service 75-member Indian military contingent will also participate in the Victory Parade along with Russian contingent and other invited contingents. The Indian participation in the Victory Day Parade will be a mark of tribute to the great sacrifices made by Russia and other nations in the Second World War, in which Indian soldiers also participated and made supreme sacrifice. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will participate in the Foreign Minister level trilateral Russia, India, China or the RIC meeting through video conferencing along with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The three leaders were originally scheduled to meet on March 22nd in Sochi, but the annual meeting had to be put off due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The participation is being seen as significant, coming days after the deadly clash that took place between Indian and Chinese troops at Galwan Valley in Ladakh sector on the night of June 15th. Dr. S. Jaishankar had also spoken to his Chinese counterpart on June 17th following the deadly clash, and both the sides had agreed to de-escalate the situation. Now, this will be the first meeting of the RIC foreign ministers that will be taking place through video conferencing. The three ministers are expected to discuss the current situation of the global pandemic and the challenges of global security, financial stability and RIC cooperation in that context. Balidan Divas of Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee, the founder of Jan Sangh, is being observed today. Born on July 6, 1901, late Mukherjee breathed his last on June 23, 1953. Dr. Mukherjee was a prominent orator and a nationalist leader who protested against the permit system in Kashmir. Remembering the visionary leader, Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee. Paying tributes to Dr. Mukherjee on his Balidan Divas, Home Minister Amit Shah said, and I quote him, "Dr. Mukherjee, the unequaled hero of India's unity and integrity, laid down his life for the solidarity of the country. His tenacity and struggle to keep Bengal, Punjab and Kashmir an integral part of India is praiseworthy." And Prime Minister also paid his tributes remembering Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee's contribution on the Balidan Divas today. And up next, we'll take a look at the COVID-19 updates from across the country. As per the Health and Family Welfare Ministry's data, the recovery rate from COVID-19 has improved to 56.37%, with more than 2.48 lakh people cured. Presently, there are 1,78,014 active cases across the country, and all are under active medical supervision. The Indian naval ship INS Airavat has reached Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu this morning, bringing back 198 stranded Indians from Maldives' capital, Malé. Now, this is the fifth voyage by Indian Navy ships as part of Operation Samudra Setu to bring back Indian nationals from the neighboring country. After disembarkation today, the due medical screening and quarantine protocols were followed for the passengers. Over 3,000 persons have been evacuated from Maldives as part of Vande Bharat mission. INS Airavat is the second Indian naval vessel to drop its anchor at the VOC port at Thoothukudi and the third evacuation mission at the harbour under Operation Samudra Setu. Earlier, INS Jalashwa brought 685 people from Colombo and 700 passengers from Malé to the harbour under the humanitarian mission. The government has responded on the issue of hacking reports of the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is DPIIT's website. PIB Fact Check team has dismissed the claim of the site being hacked. Actually, in a media report, it was said that the website of DPIIT had been hacked. However, PIB Fact Check has tweeted that this is not true. The site was under maintenance and was running on the NIC cloud. The talk of hacking the site is completely wrong, baseless, and such apprehension is also wrong. Time now to get you a global update on the COVID-19 situation. Globally, confirmed cases of COVID-19 have crossed 90 lakh and the death toll has risen to 4.71 lakh. Now, according to Johns Hopkins University, 90,79,452 cases of COVID-19 have been reported across the world. The US continues to remain the worst affected country with respect to number of confirmed cases and deaths, followed by Brazil and Russia. Over 23.11 lakh people have been tested positive across the US, while over 1.2 lakh have died till now. Over 11.06 lakh confirmed cases have been reported in Brazil, while 51,271 people lost their lives due to COVID-19 in the Latin American country. US President Donald Trump has suspended the entry into the United States of certain foreign workers. Now, Trump issued a presidential proclamation that temporarily blocks foreign workers entering on H-1B visas, which are for skilled employees, and L visas for managers and specialized workers being transferred within a company. Trump also blocked those entering on H-2B seasonal worker visas, which are used by landscapers and other industries. A report from our correspondent, Jagrati.
The Trump administration claims that blocking some non-immigrant work visas will protect American jobs as the country tries to recover economically after the coronavirus pandemic. This move is an expansion of his immigration ban from April, which prevented people from outside of the United States from entering the country and obtaining a green card, although it did not apply to temporary work visas. Now, these new restrictions do apply to H-1B visas for skilled workers and their spouses on H-4 visas. This will affect sectors such as the US tech industry, which relies heavily on hiring foreign talent through the H-1B visa program. It also applies to L-1 visas, which is for workers who are being transferred internally within their company, being relocated into the United States. It applies to some H-2B seasonal workers, and it applies to J-1 visas for exchange programs. And there are some exemptions. It doesn't apply to those who are already in the United States with a visa, nor does it apply to those outside of the United States who have already secured a valid visa, and some health workers are also exempt.
And also, after more than 100 days of the lockdown, New York City residents on Monday were able to celebrate their progress in curbing the COVID-19 pandemic by getting their first haircuts in months, shopping at long closed stores and also dining at outdoor cafes. Once the epicenter of the global outbreak, the city was the last region in New York State to move into phase 2 of reopening, with restaurants and bars offering outdoor service and many shops reopening. Barber shops and hair salons welcomed customers for the first time since mid-March. Playing grounds also reopened on Monday in the most populous U.S. city. The pandemic has killed nearly 120,000 Americans and is flaring up in a dozen states that reported record increases in the cases last week. In view of a coronavirus infection, demand for herbs and medicinal plants have increased. Keeping this in mind, corridor of medicinal plants are being created on the banks of River Ganga under Namami Gange Yojana. Now, this initiative will increase the income of the farmers as well.
The centre has been undertaking various steps to increase farmers' income. An MOU between the Ministry of Jal Shakti, the Ministry of Ayush and the Ministry of Agriculture to promote corridors of medicinal plants is a step in that direction. According to the MOU, garden projects related to 14 herbs and medicinal plants would be made in Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal with a cost of 14.96 crore rupees. 16 clusters have been made in 10 districts of Uttar Pradesh, where herbal cultivation is going on in 2,500 hectares of land. Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants in Lucknow has extended all help to farmers in herbal cultivation and quality testing. The institute also provides them financial and technical assistance. Through the scheme, 7,800 farmers will be benefited financially.
कृषि क्षेत्र में अगर हम कुछ सही तरीके से कार्य करें तो हमें गंगा की सफाई में भी मदद मिल सकती है और साथ साथ गंगा नदी में जो फ्लो है, जो हमें इसकी अविरलता के लिए जो हमें पानी चाहिए, उसमें भी मदद मिल सकती है। इसको ध्यान में रखते हुए हम लोगों ने कई तरह के कार्यक्रम लिए, जैसे कि गंगा के किनारे किस तरह के वन होने चाहिए, तो वनीकरण का कार्यक्रम लिया। और साथ साथ हमने ये भी देखा कि जो गंगा नदी के किनारे की जो ज़मीन है, अगर हम यहाँ पे मेडिसिनल प्लांट, औषधि के लिए जो उपयुक्त प्लांट्स हैं, इसको करें तो इससे किसानों के इनकम को बढ़ाने में मदद मिलेगी और साथ साथ हमारी इकोलॉजी भी अच्छी होगी और गंगा की शुद्धता को बहाल करने में भी हमें मदद मिलेगी।
To make herbal corridor in the banks of the river Ganga, National Medicinal Plants Board will develop 800 hectares of land. Herbs and natural medicines will be produced in 10 lakh hectares of land in the next 2 years. It's expected that farmers could generate an income of 5,000 crore rupees through this herbal cultivation. National Mission for Clean Ganga is also working with the National Medicinal Plants Board on a project related to PM's Arth Ganga mission.
हम लोगों ने कृषि मंत्रालय के साथ साथ आयुष मंत्रालय के सहयोग से कई कार्यक्रम लिए हैं और एक कार्यक्रम हम लोगों ने पायलट के तौर पे उत्तर प्रदेश में लिया है, जिसके अंतर्गत हम 10 जिलों में करीब 180 गांवों में 2,500 हेक्टेयर के ज़मीन में कई किसानों के साथ मिलके हमने एक समेकित मेडिसिनल प्लांटेशन का कार्यक्रम रखा है। इसमें हमने ये भी देखा कि मेडिसिनल प्लांट का डिमांड तो है, लेकिन वो सही तरीके से उपलब्ध नहीं होते। तो इसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि हम एक पूरी तरह से प्रोग्राम करें जिसमें कि किसानों को हम प्लांट, किस तरह के प्लांट हों, अच्छी क्वालिटी के सीड उपलब्ध कराएं, उनके साथ साथ उनको स्टोरेज की फैसिलिटी दें और सबसे ज़रूरी है कि उनके लिए हम मार्केटिंग की सुविधा भी लाएं।
Traditionally, herbal and medicinal plants have been growing on the banks of the Ganga. Thanks to these plants, Ganga water doesn't get spoiled even when stored for years. This corridor of herbal cultivation would also ensure the enhanced quality of water and its uninterrupted flow in the river. Chandrasekhar's report, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday greeted the Kutchi community on the occasion of Ashadi Bij, praying that the coming year is filled with happiness and good health. The Kutchi New Year is celebrated on Ashadi Bij, which also marks the onset of rains. The Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "The Kutchi community is known for its great culture and bravery. I pray that the coming year is filled with happiness and good health." That's it in this edition of the News Sasa. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.